response to concerns about recent comments made by a state official about the need to re-enlighten Hong Kong about the one country, two systems principle and the mini constitution. And the Justice Secretary said the government has to wait for police to complete investigations before charging arrested Occupy protesters with contempt of court. A top Beijing official said earlier that Hong Kong people need to be re-enlightened about the one country, two systems principle and the Basic Law. This morning, before the weekly Executive Council meeting, the media asked the chief executive whether this was a sign the central government will tighten its grip on the SAR post-Occupy. Without directly responding, Leung Chun-ying merely pointed out that one country, two systems is enshrined in the Basic Law and emphasized that the SAR government has always worked hard to promote the mini-constitution to Hong Kong people. He added that Hong Kong is a society under the rule of law, so the government will implement one country, two systems in accordance with the law. The CE said he hopes everyone can help manifest this constitutional principle, including Hong Kong people ruling Hong Kong and a high degree of autonomy through the full understanding of the Basic Law. Leung also said, apart from handling constitutional reform and Occupy issues, the government must also continue to put effort into livelihood matters, and he vowed to increase land supply to resolve the shortage of homes. Meanwhile, Secretary for Justice Rimsky-Yuen explained today why his department has so far not yet charged those arrested during the execution of injunction orders in Mong Kok with contempt of court. He said the Department of Justice is awaiting police investigation results and related information and evidence. He said every prosecution has to go through certain procedures which take time. Yuen added that it's a special situation this time, since the 2 rounds of arrests have added up to more than 50 people. The jury continues to deliberate in the corruption trial involving former Chief Secretary for Administration Raphael Hui and top executives of Sun Hung Kai Properties. This morning, High Court Judge Mr. Justice Andrew McRae told the 9 jurors to take their time in coming to a verdict. Hui is accused of taking millions of dollars in bribes from Sun Hung Kai Properties co-chairman Thomas and Raymond Kwok through 2 intermediaries. The jury has been deliberating since yesterday to decide whether the 5 defendants are guilty of various charges related to bribery and misconduct in public office.
The Faculty of Medicine at the Chinese University of Hong Kong has discovered new allergens in dust mites. The discovery could lead to more effective treatments for respiratory allergies and asthma. Owen Fung reports.
9-year-old Him Him is one of many school children suffering from asthma and respiratory allergy in Hong Kong. According to the International Study of Asthma and Allergies in Childhood, 40% of school children in Hong Kong suffer from respiratory allergy and another 10% are asthmatic. Dust mites, which are often found in clothes and beddings, are the most common cause of allergic reactions. Led by the Faculty of Medicine at the Chinese University, a team of researchers found 8 new allergens in the genetic codes of dust mites after a 3-year study. In addition, a variety of bacteria that could trigger allergic reactions was identified in the body and guts of dust mites. While current treatments only relieve symptoms, Professor Leung Ting-fan said the discovery has the potential to cure patients' allergic reaction towards dust mites. But he added that the technology still needs time to develop. In the meantime, Leung advises parents to wrap pillows and mattresses with impermeable covers to reduce their children's exposure to dust mite allergens. Owen Fung, TVB News.
A former Korean Air executive could face charges for her role in the infamous nut rage case. And the airline faces sanctions for allegedly pressuring its staff to lie. Jameson Wong reports.
More fallout from the so-called nut rage scandal. The South Korean Transport Ministry says its investigation into the incident earlier this month confirmed Heather Cho was engaged in abusive behavior towards flight attendants at John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York. The ministry will report her to prosecutors, and she could be charged if they pursue the case. Cho is a daughter of the chairman of Korean Air and was the carrier's vice president and head of in-flight services. She's since resigned from the post. Officials say Korean Air violated aviation laws and could face penalties such as 21 days of flight suspensions or a $1.3 million US fine. Cho ordered a plane that was about to take off to go back to the gate after a flight attendant offered her macadamia nuts in a bag instead of on a plate, which Cho thought was a breach of service protocol in first class. And allegations have now surfaced of her shaming and insulting crew members. There are reports Cho yelled at flight attendants who kneeled before her, pushed the shoulder of one of them, and threw an object at the cabin wall. What's more, the airline is accused of trying to foil the government's investigation. The cabin crew chief, who was kicked off the plane as a result, is said to have been pressured to give a sanitized version of events. But the plane's pilot won't be punished because officials say he was powerless to refuse a member of the family that controls the airline. The South Korean government will also try to determine if the airline's corporate culture poses safety risks. One of the questions that came out of all of this, are family-controlled companies more keen on defending the interests of the families than those of shareholders or staff? Jameson Wong, TVB News.
A South Korean opposition lawmaker today crossed into the north to deliver a wreath commemorating the 3rd anniversary of the death of former North Korean leader Kim Jong-il. Park Ji-woon of South Korea's main opposition party, the New Politics Alliance for Democracy, crossed the border on a one-day trip to the Kaesong Industrial Complex this morning. That's one day ahead of the 3rd anniversary of the death of Kim Jong-il, the father of the North's current leader Kim Jong-un. The opposition lawmaker is delivering a wreath on behalf of the widow of former South Korean President Kim Dae-jung. It's to reciprocate the wreath sent by the North in August to mark the 5th anniversary of the former president's death. All right, Tony, over to you for sports.
That's right. Some big news in the world of football. A major star is hanging up his boots for good. Former Arsenal star Thierry Henry has announced his retirement from football. This month, the 37-year-old left the New York Red Bulls